Spec Passive is one of the best extra systems in Sailor Piece because once you unlock it, it gives your spec or weapon a direct damage boost without changing the rest of your build. So in this video I am going to explain exactly how Spec Passive works, how to unlock it, how to get passive shards, which passives are worth using, and what you should actually be aiming for depending on your build. So first of all, before anything else, you need to unlock the system. The Spec Passive NPC is on Judgment Island, and to unlock it you need level 10,000 and 5,000 gemps. This is the first thing you should focus on, because once the system is unlocked, passive shards start dropping from NPCs and some bosses, which means almost every normal grind you do after that can already start helping your passive progression too. That is why this system is much better when you unlock it early instead of waiting too long, because the earlier you unlock it, the earlier your normal farming starts giving you extra value in the background. Now before we talk about the passives themselves, there is one very important thing you need to understand, because this decides how the whole system actually works. The passive you spin and equip only applies to the weapon in your hand. So if you roll a strong passive, that passive only works on the weapon or spec you are actively holding. It does not just apply to everything on your account at the same time. And on top of that, the passives do not stack, with the one special exception of Satoru Gojo and Fortune Chosen +1 drop. So the clean way to think about this system is very simple. One passive applies to the weapon in hand, and normally they do not stack. That is important because once you understand that, it becomes much easier to know what you should roll for and what you should equip. Now let's move to passive shards, because this is what decides how fast your whole route moves. Once Spec Passive is unlocked, passive shards start dropping from NPCs and some bosses. So the smartest way to build this system is not to think about it as a completely separate farm every single time. The smartest way is to let it overlap with the content you are already doing. If you are farming high-level mobs, farming bosses, stacking other materials, or just doing your normal late-game grind, your passive shards can build up naturally at the same time. That is exactly why this system feels much cleaner once it is unlocked. You are not supposed to stop everything else and only think about one passive. You want to let this system grow with the rest of your account. Now let's talk about the rarity pool, because this is where you need to understand what you are actually rolling for. So let's go through them. In common, you have damage 1, crit chance 1, crit damage 1, and luck 1. In uncommon, you have damage 2, crit chance 2, crit damage 2, and luck 2. In rare, you have damage 3, crit chance 3, crit damage 3, and luck 3. In epic, you have damage 4, crit chance 4, crit damage 4, and luck 4. So all of these lower tiers are very simple. They are not supposed to be your final target, but that does not mean they have no value. If you just unlock the system and you land something like damage 4, crit damage 4, or luck 4, that is still nice value while your account is getting stronger. After that, we move into legendary, and this is where the system starts getting much more interesting. The legendary passives are damage 5, crit chance 5, crit damage 5, luck 5, berserker, and eclipse. Damage 5 is just strong direct damage. Crit chance 5 and crit damage 5 are both very clean if your build needs one of those stats more. Luck 5 is really nice if your account is focused on farming. Then we have Berserker, and Berserker is one of the best damage passives outside of Mythical because it gives a strong mix of damage and crit damage. That is why Berserker is such a nice passive to keep if you are still building your account and do not have the best Mythical yet. Then we also have Eclipse, and Eclipse is very good because it gives crit chance, damage, and luck together, so it has value in multiple directions. So out of the legendary tier, Berserker and Eclipse are two of the most useful passives to keep while you are still working toward your final target. Now let's move into the most important part, and that is Mythical, because this is where the real chase passives are. The Mythical rate is 0.2%, and there are 3 Mythical passives: Fortune Chosen, Executioner, and Rampage. Fortune Chosen gives 17.5 to 30% chance for +1 drop, 5 to 10% luck, and 5 to 12.5% damage. This is one of the best farming passives in the whole game because it gives exactly what farming builds want: extra drop chance, extra luck, and still more damage too. That is why Fortune Chosen is the passive you want for offking and farming. If your goal is rare drops, materials, crate farming, or just getting more overall value while you farm, This is the passive you should be aiming for. Then we have Executioner. Executioner gives 30 to 45% more damage to NPCs below 50% HP, plus 2 to 4% crit chance, and 7.5 to 15% crit damage. So this passive is very strong for finishing enemies faster and making normal farming feel smoother once enemies get lower. It is absolutely a strong mythical passive and definitely worth using if you roll it. But the main best passive for most melee and weapons is Rampage. Rampage gives 15 to 30% damage, 2 to 4% crit rate, and 5 to 10% crit damage. And on top of that, the more times you do damage, the more your damage increases with a 1.15 to 1.3 times damage cap, gaining 0.00 to times more damage per hit, and resetting after 5 seconds of no hits. That is exactly why Rampage is the best spec passive for most melee and weapons. It is not only giving flat damage, crit rate, and crit damage, it is also scaling higher the longer you keep attacking. So for most real combat builds, this is the passive that gives the best total value. If your whole goal is making your melee or weapon hit as hard as possible, Rampage is the passive you want the most. So if we make the targets very simple, the answer is actually very clean. For most melee and weapons, the best spec passive is Rampage. For offking and farming, the best passive is Fortune Chosen. And if you do not have Rampage yet, then Berserker is one of the best damage options to use until you get there. Executioner is also very strong, but for most melee and weapons, Rampage is the main best passive you should be aiming for. And another important note here is that you want the highest possible percentages. That matters a lot because not every Rampage, Fortune Chosen, or Executioner roll is equal. A high roll version is much better than a low roll version. So once you get the right passive, the next thing you care about is how close that roll is to the max values. Now let's talk about the smartest way to roll this system, because this is where a lot of value is decided. First, unlock Spec Passive as soon as your account is ready. That way passive shards start stacking while you do your normal grinds. Second, do not feel like you need the perfect passive immediately. If you roll strong temporary passives like Berserker, Eclipse, Damage 5, or Luck 5, those are already very nice to use while you keep farming more shards. Third, always match the passive to your goal. If your main goal is combat and endgame damage, then Rampage should be your final target. If your main goal is offking and farming, then Fortune Chosen is the one you want. That is the cleanest way to use this system because you are always building toward the passive that actually fits your account. So overall, Spec Passive is one of the best extra systems in Sailor Piece because it gives your weapon or spec a direct power boost without changing your whole setup. Unlock it on Judgment Island at level 10,000 with 5,000 gems. Remember that it only applies to the weapon in your hand. Remember that passives normally do not stack, and then build it the smart way. Use the lower tiers as temporary value. Keep strong legendary passives if they help your build. And aim for Rampage as the best passive for most melee and weapons. Or Fortune Chosen if your main goal is offking and farming. That is the cleanest way to get the most value out of this whole system. And now for the giveaway. Congratulations to the winner of the previous giveaway. If you see your Roblox username on the screen, make sure you have accepted my friend request so I can send you your reward. If you also want to win any Game Pass, all you need to do is subscribe to the channel, like this video, and most importantly leave your exact Roblox username in the comments below so I can send you your reward if you win. If you have any questions about Spec Passive or which passive fits your build best, feel free to ask them in the comments, and for exclusive content, giveaways, and to hang out with the community, check out my Discord and Roblox group. For a chance to join me in-game, you can also follow my Roblox profile. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more Sailor Piece content.